Archangel Michael speaks now with precision rather than urgency, reminding you that discernment sharpens when pride relaxes. The miracle arriving does not require effort, convincing, or force. It asks only for awareness. Many miss such moments because they are trained to expect struggle before reward. Today's gift arrives through receptivity, not resistance. Pay attention to how this encounter unfolds. There will be no pressure, no fear, no manipulation. Instead, there will be a subtle pull toward engagement, a sense of familiarity without prior memory, an inner acknowledgement that feels older than thought. That recognition is your signal. It means alignment is active. You have carried unanswered questions for longer than you admit. Not spoken aloud, not written down, yet present in the background of every decision. This arrival carries resolution energy. It does not solve everything instantly, but it initiates movement where stagnation once ruled. From this point forward, momentum replaces waiting. Do not attempt to analyze the moment prematurely. Overthinking fractures timing. Allow it to unfold naturally. The next step will reveal itself only after the current one is honored. Faith here is not blind, it is responsive. You respond, then clarity expands. This is not coincidence layered over chance. This is orchestration layered over patience. God has observed how you continued forward even without reassurance, how you adjusted expectations without bitterness, how you learned to stand steady when outcomes shifted unexpectedly. That growth made this moment possible. Archangel Michael reminds you that protection sometimes looks like redirection rather than defense. What approaches now carries both opportunity and instruction. It will teach you something important about receiving without guilt and accepting without suspicion. Let yourself learn. You are not required to impress, prove, or perform. Simply show up as you are. Authentic presence unlocks what striving cannot. This moment responds to honesty more than preparation. Soon after this encounter, you will notice small confirmations appearing around you. Conversations will align. Decisions will feel lighter. Choices that once felt heavy will lose resistance. These are echoes of alignment activating. Beloved soul, this message did not find you early or late. It found you precisely when readiness matured beyond desire. What comes next depends not on luck, but on attention. Stay awake to subtlety. Stay open to simplicity. Stay present when the ordinary suddenly carries weight. Remain here, because the next part reveals how to protect what begins, how to avoid interference, and how to walk forward without losing what has been placed within reach. My cherished one, awareness deepens now, because what is unfolding requires gentleness rather than speed. The moment that approaches your life will not tolerate haste, yet it will not wait for hesitation either. Balance is being asked of you. Presence without pressure. Openness without surrendering wisdom. God is not testing you to see whether you are worthy, heaven already knows your capacity. This phase exists to show you how receiving can feel peaceful rather than overwhelming. There is something important you must understand. The miracle arriving does not shout because it respects your freedom. Loud things force attention, but sacred things invite choice. You will feel invited, not cornered. Drawn, not pushed. That is how you will recognize authenticity. Anything meant to alter your destiny must honor your spirit first. Archangel Michael stands beside you now, steady, watchful, reminding you that protection also includes guidance after arrival. Many people receive blessings but lose direction immediately afterward. This is why instruction follows revelation. What enters your life soon carries responsibility along with promise. Not burden, but stewardship. You are being trusted with something meaningful because your soul has learned restraint. Notice how your reactions have matured recently. You respond rather than explode. You observe rather than assume. You wait rather than chase. These shifts did not happen accidentally. They prepared you to hold what is coming without fear of loss. Stability attracts continuation. There may be a brief moment where doubt whispers, suggesting that this encounter is ordinary, replaceable, insignificant. That whisper is not intuition. It is habit trying to preserve the familiar. Let it pass without argument. Truth does not need defense, it needs space. God is asking you to stay grounded when this happens. Do not rush to share details. Do not seek validation from voices that were absent during your preparation. What arrives belongs first between you and heaven. Protection increases when gratitude remains quiet. Soon after this interaction, you will feel a subtle inner shift, like a weight lifting without ceremony. That is confirmation, not imagination. Something long delayed has finally moved from potential into motion. You will not need proof, peace will suffice. This blessing is not isolated. It connects to future doors already marked for you. One moment unlocks another, provided you move with integrity. Alignment compounds quickly when humility stays intact. Beloved, remember this clearly: what approaches you is not meant to impress others. It is meant to realign you. Measure its value by inner clarity rather than external applause. The loudest miracles often fade fastest. The quietest ones reshape lives permanently. Archangel Michael reminds you again not to underestimate simplicity. The divine frequently travels through ordinary paths because ego rarely waits there. Stay attentive. Stay receptive. Stay grounded in the present second, because eternity often enters through now. Remain with this message. What follows will reveal how to respond once the moment passes, how to nurture what begins, and how to walk forward without repeating old cycles. Beloved awareness, something subtle is happening even as you listen, because attention itself is a doorway. When you choose to remain present instead of scrolling past, alignment strengthens quietly. That is why heaven often speaks through moments that feel unremarkable at first. Stillness trains recognition. What approaches you soon will arrive during a normal hour, wrapped in familiarity, touching your routine without disruption, yet carrying significance that unfolds only after reflection. My child, my beloved, listen closely because this moment did not arrive by accident. What you are experiencing right now is not random, and the stillness around you is not empty. Something has already begun moving toward your life, quietly, deliberately, without announcing itself. Heaven has been watching how often you brush aside small moments, how easily you assume that nothing important could arrive through ordinary ways. This message comes because what is approaching you will not look dramatic at first glance, yet it carries power that can rearrange everything you thought was settled. I speak to you with urgency, not to frighten you, but to awaken awareness. There is a visitor being guided toward your space, and this arrival does not come with noise or spectacle. It comes softly, wrapped in timing, clothed in simplicity, and disguised as something you might be tempted to overlook. God is asking you not to judge this moment by appearance, because miracles rarely announce themselves the way people expect. Before you continue listening, pause for 1 second and make a decision. If messages like this have ever brought you clarity, peace, or direction, stay connected. Subscribe not out of habit, but because your spirit recognizes alignment. You are not here by chance, and staying until the end will reveal why this message found you instead of someone else. Beloved soul, there has been a pattern in your life where opportunities came quietly and passed just as silently. Not because you were unworthy, but because your attention was pulled elsewhere. You learned to survive by ignoring subtle nudges, by trusting logic over intuition, by dismissing what could not be explained immediately. God sees this, and that is why this warning comes now. What is about to reach your door carries an answer to a prayer you stopped repeating because you thought it was no longer being heard. Archangel Michael stands watch over this moment, not with a sword raised, but with discernment. He is not blocking danger today, he is protecting recognition. He warns you because the miracle approaching you requires cooperation. It needs presence. It needs humility. It needs you to resist the urge to say, "This is nothing," and move on. There will be a brief test of patience. You may feel irritation, distraction, or doubt right before this encounter happens. This is not coincidence. Resistance often rises when something meaningful is close. The mind looks for reasons to stay closed, while the heart quietly leans forward. God is asking you to let the heart speak first this time. Listen carefully now. The person or event arriving will not match the image you once imagined. It may come through conversation, paperwork, a delivery, a knock, a message, or an unexpected visit. You will be tempted to delay, to postpone, to say later. Do not. Timing is the vessel of this blessing, and hesitation can cause the moment to slip into another season. You have wondered why certain doors never opened, why outcomes shifted at the last minute, why answers seemed close yet unreachable. Those delays were not punishments. They were preparation. You were being trained to recognize value without glamour, truth without noise, direction without force. This moment is the result of that unseen training. Beloved, what arrives carries transformation, not because it is dramatic, but because it is precise. It touches the exact area where things have felt stuck. It brings movement where effort failed. It brings confirmation where confusion lingered. This is not about receiving something flashy, it is about alignment snapping into place. Do not dismiss the ordinary today. Do not underestimate a simple interaction. Do not rush past something that asks for your attention. Heaven has already adjusted circumstances so this moment can reach you. All that remains is your response. Archangel Michael reminds you that discernment is not suspicion. Being open does not mean being careless. It means being present. Watch how you feel when this moment arrives. Peace will whisper before logic speaks. Calm will precede clarity. That is how you will know this is not coincidence. My beloved, you are not late. You have not missed your window. You are standing inside it right now. This message is proof. The door you thought was closed has been waiting for the right knock, and today, you are on both sides of it. Stay with me, because what comes next explains how to recognize this moment clearly, how to respond without fear, and how to protect what is being placed into your hands. Beloved presence, there is a reason restlessness has been circling your thoughts recently, even during quiet hours. That sensation was not anxiety without cause, it was anticipation without explanation. Something has been aligning beyond what your eyes can measure, adjusting routes, softening resistance, moving timing into position. Heaven does not rush, yet it never wastes a moment. What approaches you carries intent shaped specifically for your life, not borrowed from anyone else's story, not delayed by comparison, not diminished by past disappointments. You may notice a strange calm right before everything shifts. That calm is not emptiness, it is confirmation. When God prepares to alter direction, noise fades so clarity can land without distortion. This is why distractions have been falling away lately, why certain conversations ended, why plans dissolved without drama. Space was being cleared so recognition would be possible when it matters most. Archangel Michael speaks now with precision rather than urgency, reminding you that discernment sharpens when pride relaxes. The miracle arriving does not require effort, convincing, or force. It asks only for awareness. Many miss such moments because they are trained to expect struggle before reward. Today's gift arrives through receptivity, not resistance. Pay attention to how this encounter unfolds. There will be no pressure, no fear, no manipulation. Instead, there will be a subtle pull toward engagement, a sense of familiarity without prior memory, an inner acknowledgement that feels older than thought. That recognition is your signal. It means alignment is active. You have carried unanswered questions for longer than you admit. Not spoken aloud, not written down, yet present in the background of every decision. This arrival carries resolution energy. It does not solve everything instantly, but it initiates movement where stagnation once ruled. From this point forward, momentum replaces waiting. Soon, a decision will present itself, modest in appearance, yet significant in consequence. Choose alignment over convenience. Choose integrity over urgency. That choice anchors everything that follows. God values intention more than outcome, because intention shapes direction. Beloved, understand this clearly: what you are stepping into does not remove challenge, it changes how challenge is met. Fear loses authority when awareness remains present. Confusion dissolves when attention stays anchored. You are being prepared to navigate complexity without losing peace. As days progress, notice how gratitude emerges naturally rather than through effort. That gratitude sustains flow. It keeps perspective clear. It invites continuation. Heaven responds to appreciation expressed quietly, consistently, sincerely. Remain receptive. Remain attentive. Remain grounded in this unfolding. The journey ahead expands gently, guided by insight rather than impulse. What has begun will continue when honored with presence. Stay with this message. The next passage reveals how to sustain momentum and protect clarity as new layers emerge. Beloved consciousness, advancement now unfolds through subtle commitment rather than visible struggle. The path opening before you responds to consistency, not intensity. Many believe transformation demands exhaustion, yet heaven often works through quiet alignment sustained over time. You are being guided into a rhythm where effort feels lighter because resistance has loosened. This is not because circumstances became easier, but because perception matured. Notice how emotional reactions no longer pull you as strongly as before. Situations that once triggered immediate response now invite reflection. This shift signals authority returning to your inner center. God values this stability because it allows wisdom to guide action rather than impulse. What continues from here requires grounded awareness, not urgency fueled by fear. Archangel Michael observes how your listening has deepened. You hear beyond words now. You sense intention beneath tone. You recognize alignment before explanation forms. These abilities were developed quietly through experiences you once questioned. Nothing was wasted. Every delay refined discernment. Every disappointment strengthened clarity. Soon, you may be placed in a position where your response influences others without effort. Leadership emerges naturally when authenticity remains intact. Do not shrink from this role. Influence rooted in integrity does not demand performance. It flows through example. Heaven trusts you with this because you learned humility without losing confidence. There will be moments inviting silence over speech. Honor them. Silence preserves alignment when unnecessary explanation could dilute meaning. Archangel Michael reminds you that restraint protects momentum. Speak when clarity invites expression, not when habit demands noise. As this journey unfolds, your relationship with time shifts. Waiting no longer feels empty. Movement no longer feels rushed. Balance emerges organically. This balance is protection disguised as ease. It prevents burnout. It sustains vision. It keeps purpose clear. God is not asking you to abandon caution, but to release fear disguised as wisdom. Discernment now comes from presence, not past conditioning. Allow yourself to experience trust without tension. Trust grounded in awareness strengthens rather than weakens. Beloved soul, alignment grows when attention remains anchored. Distractions will attempt to pull focus outward. Return gently. Center yourself without judgment. What you nurture expands. Soon, another layer will reveal itself, building upon what has already begun. This progression honors patience. It rewards steadiness. It unfolds without force. Remain here. The next continuation reveals how to integrate this alignment into daily movement without losing clarity or peace. Beloved awareness, continuation now asks for integration rather than anticipation. What has begun does not need acceleration, it needs embodiment. Carry this alignment into ordinary motion, into routine gestures, into quiet decisions that rarely feel spiritual yet shape direction profoundly. Heaven prefers transformation that blends seamlessly with daily life, because permanence grows there. You are learning how sacred movement can exist without ceremony. Attention will be tested gently. Mundane moments may invite distraction, tempting you to slip back into automatic patterns. When that happens, return without criticism. Recentering is not failure, it is mastery forming. God values return more than perfection. Each conscious return strengthens presence. Archangel Michael encourages simplicity now. Complexity fragments focus. Choose clarity over excess. Choose intention over impulse. What unfolds responds best to straightforward movement guided by inner sensing rather than elaborate strategy. Alignment thrives when unnecessary layers fall away. You may notice curiosity awakening differently. Questions arise not from confusion, but from expansion. Let those questions exist without immediate answers. Curiosity without anxiety opens pathways creativity cannot reach. Insight often arrives when space remains uncluttered. There will be opportunities to share wisdom subtly, without instruction or authority. Allow your lived clarity to speak through demeanor. Calm communicates truth louder than explanation. Influence grounded in authenticity invites trust naturally. Beloved, understand that protection now operates internally. Awareness guards direction more effectively than external control. When perception remains clear, misalignment becomes obvious early, preventing detours. This internal safeguard was cultivated intentionally through previous uncertainty. God observes how gratitude has shifted from reaction to state. That state sustains momentum effortlessly. Appreciation rooted in presence attracts continuity. It keeps awareness open. It nourishes patience. Soon, you may feel a sense of arrival without fanfare. No dramatic marker, no sudden announcement, simply recognition settling quietly. That recognition confirms that movement occurred exactly as intended. Trust that feeling. It reflects alignment achieved, not imagined. Archangel Michael stands witness to this unfolding, not intervening, but affirming. Guidance now operates through resonance rather than instruction. You will sense what aligns by how it feels internally. Ease accompanies truth. Tension signals adjustment. There will be opportunities to share wisdom subtly, without instruction or authority. Allow your lived clarity to speak through demeanor. Calm communicates truth louder than explanation. Influence grounded in authenticity invites trust naturally. Beloved, understand that protection now operates internally. Awareness guards direction more effectively than external control. When perception remains clear, misalignment becomes obvious early, preventing detours. This internal safeguard was cultivated intentionally through previous uncertainty. God observes how gratitude has shifted from reaction to state. That state sustains momentum effortlessly. Appreciation rooted in presence attracts continuity. It keeps awareness open. It nourishes patience. Soon, you may feel a sense of arrival without fanfare. No dramatic marker, no sudden announcement, simply recognition settling quietly. That recognition confirms that movement occurred exactly as intended. Trust that feeling. It reflects alignment achieved, not imagined. Archangel Michael stands witness to this unfolding, not intervening, but affirming. Guidance now operates through resonance rather than instruction. You will sense what aligns by how it feels internally. Ease accompanies truth. Tension signals adjustment. Beloved soul, remain grounded in this rhythm. Continue forward gently. Honor simplicity. Protect presence. What has begun will expand naturally when carried with awareness. Stay here. Further insight follows when readiness invites continuation. Beloved clarity, progression now unfolds through embodiment rather than expectation. What you carry inwardly begins shaping outward expression without effort. Choices align before reasoning completes. Actions follow intuition smoothly. This is not coincidence, it is coherence forming. God designs movement this way so peace accompanies growth instead of anxiety. When harmony leads, results sustain. You may sense an urge to simplify surroundings, conversations, commitments. Honor that impulse. Reduction sharpens focus. Space invites depth. Archangel Michael guides this refinement quietly, ensuring essentials remain while excess dissolves. What stays serves purpose. What leaves frees energy. Observe how confidence expresses itself differently now. Not through assertion, but through calm steadiness. This confidence does not seek validation. It rests comfortably within awareness. Heaven values this posture because it cannot be shaken easily. Stability attracts continuity. Moments may arise where patience feels challenged, where timing appears slower than preference. Breathe through those instances. Alignment unfolds at its own pace, ensuring foundations remain secure. Rushing fractures integration. Trust protects what develops. God invites you to treat each interaction as practice in presence. Listening fully. Responding thoughtfully. Remaining open without absorbing unnecessary weight. These practices anchor awareness during expansion. They prevent drift. Archangel Michael reminds you that boundaries preserve clarity. Saying no thoughtfully honors direction. Choosing rest intentionally sustains vision. Balance here is not avoidance, it is stewardship. As days continue, subtle confirmations will appear, reinforcing alignment without demanding attention. Notice them quietly. Gratitude deepens resonance. Recognition strengthens continuity. Beloved soul, integration completes through lived experience, not contemplation alone. Carry awareness into movement. Carry clarity into choice. Carry calm into challenge. What unfolds remains supported when presence leads. Remain attentive. Remain gentle. Remain grounded. Further unfolding responds when readiness signals continuation. Beloved perception, unfolding now favors lived attentiveness rather than conceptual understanding. What settles within you expresses itself through tone, pacing, posture, presence. Life responds differently when inner alignment leads. Circumstances soften. Resistance loosens. Pathways reveal themselves naturally. God arranges outcomes through coherence, not force. When harmony governs movement, obstacles reconfigure without confrontation. You may notice an increased sensitivity to atmosphere, sensing when environments support clarity or drain vitality. Honor those impressions. Choosing spaces that nurture awareness strengthens momentum. Archangel Michael encourages discernment here, guiding you toward conditions that sustain equilibrium. Alignment flourishes where respect for energy exists. Interactions transform subtly. Listening becomes fuller. Responses emerge thoughtfully. Silence gains weight. These shifts influence outcomes more than words ever could. Authority rooted in presence speaks quietly yet reaches deeply. Heaven recognizes this maturity and entrusts you with greater responsibility accordingly. There will be opportunities inviting restraint rather than reaction. Choose stillness. Choosing restraint preserves direction. It prevents unnecessary entanglement. Wisdom grows when impulse yields to awareness. This restraint does not diminish power, it concentrates it. God invites appreciation for incremental movement. Not every advance announces itself dramatically. Progress measured through peace often outweighs visible achievement. Recognize growth through calm sustained during challenge. That calm signals internal mastery developing. Archangel Michael remains attentive, ensuring discernment stays clear as expansion continues. Guidance now arrives through subtle nudges rather than direct instruction. Sensation precedes reasoning. Trust that order. Intuition refined through experience rarely misleads. Beloved soul, momentum now depends on consistency. Returning daily to presence. Honoring awareness during routine. Integrating clarity into simple acts. These repetitions, though gentle, shape destiny profoundly. Heaven values fidelity over intensity. Soon, another invitation will arise, requiring choice without pressure. When that moment appears, respond from centered awareness. Ease accompanies correct alignment. Discomfort signals adjustment needed. Let sensation guide direction gently. Remain grounded. Remain receptive. Remain patient. What unfolds continues precisely as intended when carried with mindful attention. Stay here. Further insight arrives as readiness deepens. Beloved, remember this clearly: what approaches you is not meant to impress others. It is meant to realign you. Measure its value by inner clarity rather than external applause. The loudest miracles often fade fastest. The quietest ones reshape lives permanently. Archangel Michael reminds you again not to underestimate simplicity. The divine frequently travels through ordinary paths because ego rarely waits there. Stay attentive. Stay receptive. Stay grounded in the present second, because eternity often enters through now. Remain with this message. What follows will reveal how to respond once the moment passes, how to nurture what begins, and how to walk forward without repeating old cycles. Beloved awareness, something subtle is happening even as you listen, because attention itself is a doorway. When you choose to remain present instead of scrolling past, alignment strengthens quietly. That is why heaven often speaks through moments that feel unremarkable at first. Stillness trains recognition. What approaches you soon will arrive during a normal hour, wrapped in familiarity, touching your routine without disruption, yet carrying significance that unfolds only after reflection. There is wisdom in how this encounter has been timed. Had it come earlier, you might have resisted. Had it arrived later, doubt could have hardened. Now, your inner posture allows reception without struggle. Growth softened you, not by removing strength, but by teaching discernment. God values readiness more than eagerness. You may feel a brief hesitation when the moment presents itself, like standing at the edge of understanding without words to explain it. That pause is sacred. Do not rush to label or define what you feel. Meaning reveals itself gradually when given patience. Archangel Michael encourages restraint here, reminding you that clarity deepens through observation rather than immediate conclusion. What unfolds next will not demand sacrifice, it will request trust. Trust that simplicity can carry depth. Trust that timing knows more than planning. Trust that intuition speaks quietly for a reason. The miracle tied to this moment does not overwhelm because it respects balance. It integrates into your life rather than overturning it. Pay close attention afterward. Your surroundings may feel slightly different, not because anything changed outwardly, but because perception sharpened. Colors appear warmer. Thoughts feel organized. Decisions lose resistance. These shifts indicate alignment activating. They are confirmations, not coincidences. God has watched how often you doubted your own inner voice. This experience restores confidence gently, without confrontation. It teaches you how to listen again without fear of being wrong. That restoration matters more than the event itself, because it affects every step that follows. Archangel Michael reminds you not to cling. Gratitude flows best when held lightly. Allow what enters to breathe. Space nurtures growth. Control restricts expansion. Trust allows continuation. Soon, a second confirmation will appear, unrelated on the surface, yet connected beneath. When that happens, acknowledge it quietly. No announcement is required. Recognition alone anchors the blessing. Beloved soul, this is how transformation often begins, not through force, but through awareness sustained over time. Remain attentive. Remain receptive. Remain grounded. What unfolds from here depends on how gently you walk forward. Stay here. The next movement reveals how to protect this alignment from interference and how to continue without returning to old patterns. Beloved understanding, progression now asks for quiet courage rather than dramatic action. What begins softly sustains deeply when nurtured with patience. You are entering a phase where restraint becomes strength and listening outweighs speaking. This shift may feel unfamiliar, yet it suits you more than you realize. Heaven often advances purpose by refining attention, not by amplifying noise. What unfolds next responds to steadiness, not speed. There will be an impulse to interpret signs too quickly, to search for reassurance through external confirmation. Resist that urge gently. Inner certainty matures when given room. Archangel Michael encourages composure here, reminding you that discernment sharpens through still awareness. Let impressions settle. Let insight arrive without demand. Truth reveals itself most clearly when it is not chased. Observe how interactions begin to carry layered meaning. Words spoken casually will hold resonance. Small choices will feel guided rather than forced. These are not tricks of imagination. They signal alignment continuing forward. God communicates through coherence. When life begins to feel organized internally, outward pathways follow naturally. You may encounter voices attempting to reintroduce old narratives, suggesting caution rooted in past outcomes rather than present reality. Listen politely, then release. Wisdom grows when experience informs without imprisoning. This moment asks you to move forward unburdened by outdated conclusions. Growth requires permission to outgrow former limits. Archangel Michael stands as guardian of this transition, ensuring clarity remains intact. Protection now operates through insight rather than obstruction. You will sense when to engage and when to pause. Trust that sensing. It has been refined intentionally. Soon, a decision will present itself, modest in appearance, yet significant in consequence. Choose alignment over convenience. Choose integrity over urgency. That choice anchors everything that follows. God values intention more than outcome, because intention shapes direction. Beloved, understand this clearly: what you are stepping into does not remove challenge, it changes how challenge is met. Fear loses authority when awareness remains present. Confusion dissolves when attention stays anchored. You are being prepared to navigate complexity without losing peace. As days progress, notice how gratitude emerges naturally rather than through effort. That gratitude sustains flow. It keeps perspective clear. It invites continuation. Heaven responds to appreciation expressed quietly, consistently, sincerely. Remain receptive. Remain attentive. Remain grounded in this unfolding. The journey ahead expands gently, guided by insight rather than impulse. What has begun will continue when honored with presence. Stay with this message. The next passage reveals how to sustain momentum and protect clarity as new layers emerge. Beloved consciousness, an inward settling is rewriting how safety is defined within you, replacing vigilance with grounded assurance. This transition does not dull awareness, it sharpens it, allowing discernment to function without tension. God is cultivating steadiness that does not depend on outcomes, enabling you to move through uncertainty without forfeiting peace. A subtle confidence now informs posture, tone, and timing. You respond rather than react. Decisions emerge from clarity instead of pressure. Archangel Michael witnesses this refinement as evidence that restraint has loosened its hold, making room for deliberate choice. Where urgency once dictated motion, intention now leads. Patterns that thrived on hesitation are losing influence. Momentum builds quietly, propelled by consistency rather than force. Progress no longer demands justification. This effortless advancement signals internal agreement aligning with unfolding circumstances. Expect interactions to shift accordingly. Conversations feel concise. Exchanges resolve smoothly. Boundaries communicate themselves without explanation. Such ease reflects inner order projecting outward. God aligns surroundings to mirror restored equilibrium. A deeper sense of worth is stabilizing beneath surface thoughts. You no longer measure value through productivity or comparison. Presence itself carries legitimacy. Archangel Michael affirms that intrinsic worth anchors freedom, preventing external sway from reclaiming control. Moments of insight may arrive unexpectedly, bringing resolution to lingering questions without drama. These realizations integrate swiftly because resistance has softened. Understanding now flows rather than clashes. Energy allocation becomes intentional. Attention gathers around what nourishes growth. Distractions lose magnetism. Focus strengthens naturally, creating space for sustained creativity and purposeful engagement. Trust expands beyond circumstance toward process. You recognize movement even during apparent stillness. God orchestrates beneath visibility, arranging timing with precision. Patience becomes collaboration rather than waiting. Remain attuned to bodily cues signaling alignment. Ease replaces strain. Breath deepens. Sleep restores. These signals confirm coherence settling across layers of experience. As this integration continues, gratitude surfaces quietly, grounded in recognition rather than relief. Appreciation anchors presence, reinforcing stability. Liberation matures through acknowledgement. Proceed gently. Honor subtlety. Maintain awareness. What unfolds next will feel unsurprising, as though your path always curved toward this openness, now traveled without burden. Beloved awareness, a new orientation is quietly taking root, adjusting how direction is sensed rather than chosen. You are no longer scanning constantly for signs of threat or loss. Instead, perception relaxes into observation. God is teaching you how to stand within the present moment without needing to defend it, and from that grounded stance, movement becomes natural rather than forced. There is a refinement happening in how you interpret pauses. What once felt like delay now feels like calibration. Silence carries instruction. Space carries meaning. Archangel Michael reveals that wisdom often enters during intervals that appear empty to the hurried mind. You are learning to read those intervals correctly. Internal dialogue is softening. The voice that once questioned every step is losing authority. In its place rises a steadier knowing that does not argue, does not rush, does not compete. This knowing does not need proof. It recognizes alignment through resonance rather than reassurance. You may notice your emotional responses changing texture. Reactions feel lighter, less sticky, easier to release. Situations pass through you instead of embedding themselves. This permeability is freedom expressing itself through emotional fluidity. God designed you to experience life, not to carry it indefinitely. An internal permission is forming, allowing you to want what truly fits rather than what merely appears acceptable. Desire becomes honest. Preference becomes clear. Archangel Michael confirms that clarity of desire prevents future compromise, preserving the freedom now stabilizing within you. There will be moments where you recognize yourself responding differently than expected, choosing calm where conflict once seemed automatic. These moments are markers. They show integration in progress. Each conscious choice reinforces liberation without effort. Your relationship with uncertainty is transforming. Unknown territory no longer signals danger, but possibility. Curiosity replaces dread. This shift alters how opportunities are perceived, making room for exploration without fear of loss. Energy now circulates more evenly. Peaks and crashes smooth into rhythm. Productivity aligns with capacity. Rest aligns with renewal. God restores balance by teaching you to honor natural cycles rather than resist them. Connections around you may subtly rearrange. Some deepen effortlessly. Others drift without drama. This sorting is organic, guided by resonance rather than rejection. Archangel Michael ensures that what remains supports growth. Stay present with these changes. Do not label them prematurely. Allow experience to unfold fully before interpretation. Freedom settles most securely when it is lived rather than analyzed. What approaches you next will meet readiness, not resistance. You will recognize it not by intensity, but by ease. It will fit without persuasion. And when it arrives, it will feel less like arrival and more like alignment finally made visible. Gentle witness, a deeper coherence is emerging beneath thought, shaping response before logic intervenes. Orientation shifts inwardly, guiding action through felt sense rather than calculation. This recalibration allows choice to arise without strain, creating forward motion that feels inevitable instead of compelled. Influence gathers quietly, organizing experience through harmony rather than insistence. Attention now gravitates toward authenticity, filtering noise without effort. Signals once overlooked become legible, not because they grew louder, but because listening matured. Insight arrives unannounced, integrates smoothly, then informs behavior with subtle authority. This is discernment stabilized, not sharpened through conflict, but refined through trust. What lies ahead carries a sense of permission, as though something within you is finally being allowed to move forward without apology. This shift does not erase your past, it redeems it. Every delay refined discernment. Every disappointment sharpened wisdom. None of it is wasted, and none of it follows you as a burden anymore. You may notice a growing disinterest in situations that once consumed your energy. That is not apathy, it is alignment. When inner direction changes, old attachments loosen naturally. Archangel Michael speaks of a moment where clarity replaces tolerance, where you no longer endure what drains you simply because it is familiar. There is also a soft courage rising inside you, not loud or aggressive, but steady. It encourages different responses, quieter boundaries, truer choices. This courage does not fight, it redirects. It allows you to step away from cycles that once felt unavoidable. God is introducing simplicity into your life, not by removing responsibility, but by removing unnecessary weight. Complexity born from fear is dissolving. What remains will feel lighter, clearer, more honest. Freedom often feels like ease after long tension, and that easing has already begun. Expect moments of confirmation that feel gentle yet undeniable. A sentence spoken by someone else, a sudden understanding, an unexpected opening. These are not coincidences, they are alignments stacking quietly in your favor. Archangel Michael reminds you that protection does not always look like prevention. Sometimes it appears as redirection. What did not work out saved you from paths that would have limited your growth. Gratitude may come later, but peace will arrive first. You are stepping into a phase where trust replaces control. Not blind trust, but informed surrender, the kind that comes from knowing you have done all you could and now it is time to allow life to respond differently. Your future holds movement, not stagnation. Expansion, not confinement. Expression, not suppression. What once felt unreachable is becoming accessible because you are no longer approaching it from the same place within. Stay conscious of this shift. Do not rush past it. Let it integrate fully. Freedom is not an event, it is a state that grows stronger the more you honor it. This message continues to reach you because your spirit is listening. Remain attentive. Remain open. What unfolds next will feel like alignment settling into reality, quietly, steadily, unmistakably. Beloved presence, something irreversible is taking shape within the unseen layers of your life, and once awareness touches it, return becomes impossible. This unfolding is gentle yet decisive, like dawn spreading without announcement, altering everything simply by arriving. God is not rushing you forward, He is inviting you to notice how differently you now respond to moments that once unsettled you. That difference is evidence of inner release already underway. A quiet separation is occurring between who you were conditioned to be and who you are now permitted to become. Old roles are loosening their grip, not through conflict, but through irrelevance. What once demanded constant effort no longer commands the same attention. Archangel Michael reveals that this is how bondage ends, not with struggle, but with disengagement from what no longer aligns. Your perception has widened, allowing discernment to operate without anxiety. Where confusion once clouded judgment, insight now enters calmly. This clarity is not temporary. It is a permanent adjustment, one that shifts how choices present themselves to you. Freedom often begins when options feel honest instead of overwhelming. There will be moments when you realize you are no longer waiting. Anticipation fades, replaced by steadiness. That steadiness is strength refined through patience. God has been cultivating resilience not as armor, but as confidence rooted in knowing you can move forward without forcing outcomes. You may sense an internal invitation to simplify intentions, to speak more truthfully, to act without excess explanation. This simplicity is sacred. It clears pathways for blessings that require openness rather than negotiation. Archangel Michael guards this process, ensuring that clarity remains protected from distraction. What approaches you now carries compatibility with your growth. It will not demand you shrink, rush, or compromise integrity. Expansion feels natural when alignment is present. That naturalness will be your confirmation. Stay receptive to subtle shifts in timing. Certain delays will suddenly dissolve, while others will reveal purpose. Trust that adjustments are precise. Nothing is random at this stage. Heaven orchestrates with intention when freedom is near. Your inner landscape is changing, and the outer world will follow. Reactions soften. Decisions strengthen. Direction stabilizes. These are signs that release has already begun expressing itself through you. Remain present with this transformation. Do not rush its integration. Freedom deepens when honored gently. What unfolds next will feel less like surprise and more like recognition, as though your soul quietly knew this moment was coming all along. Beloved awareness, an unfamiliar calm is settling around your decisions, not because uncertainty vanished, but because fear no longer directs movement. This composure marks a crossing point where impulse yields to discernment, where instinct cooperates with wisdom rather than battling it. God is guiding progression through quiet confidence, not urgency, shaping outcomes through steadiness instead of strain. A recalibration is occurring within motivation itself. Desires once fueled by lack are transforming into intentions rooted in wholeness. This change alters attraction, drawing experiences that resonate with authenticity rather than compensation. Archangel Michael observes this internal shift as the true signal that liberation is active, because what you seek now aligns with who you are, not with what you feared becoming. Notice how time feels different lately. Moments stretch with meaning, pauses feel purposeful, waiting no longer feels empty. This temporal adjustment reflects inner harmony emerging. When alignment deepens, patience transforms into presence, allowing insight to arrive without resistance. Your environment may respond subtly, reflecting internal order through unexpected cooperation, smoother exchanges, fewer obstacles. These are echoes of inner clarity projecting outward. God often adjusts surroundings to mirror restored balance, creating ease where friction once dominated. Unknown territory now evokes curiosity. Possibility expands. Exploration unfolds confidently because grounding remains intact. Security arises internally, allowing openness toward novelty without fear of loss. Sustain attentiveness to these shifts. Honor nuance. Allow continuity to deepen. Integration matures through lived presence rather than evaluation. What manifests next will resonate immediately, recognized through fit rather than spectacle, confirming alignment translating seamlessly into experience. Beloved presence, a quiet mastery is forming within you, one that does not announce itself yet influences every motion. Awareness now moves ahead of habit, guiding direction before old impulses can interfere. Life begins to respond differently because you are meeting it from a centered place, neither reaching nor retreating, simply available. There is an internal spaciousness expanding, giving thoughts room to pass without attachment. Concerns arise, then dissolve, leaving insight rather than tension. This mental openness allows intuition to surface cleanly, unobstructed by fear or expectation. Guidance becomes immediate, felt rather than debated. Your sense of identity is softening around the edges, releasing rigid definitions that once limited expression. You are no longer confined by former narratives or inherited roles. This flexibility grants freedom to adapt without losing essence. You remain yourself while evolving naturally. Moments of choice now carry a gentle certainty. Even when outcomes remain unseen, direction feels correct. This assurance is not confidence borrowed from past success, but trust grounded in present alignment. You move forward without needing guarantees. Energy responds accordingly. Effort aligns with inspiration. Action feels timely. Fatigue diminishes because resistance has less space to operate. You engage fully, then rest completely, honoring cycles rather than overriding them. Interactions reflect this shift. Others sense clarity and respond with ease. Communication simplifies. Boundaries hold without defense. Mutual respect replaces explanation. Relationships reorganize around authenticity, strengthening what supports growth while releasing what does not. Attention turns inward during uncertainty, finding stability without withdrawal. You remain engaged while centered, flexible while grounded. This balance allows adaptation without compromise, openness without vulnerability. Creative flow deepens, guided by curiosity rather than outcome. Expression feels exploratory, unburdened by judgment. Ideas emerge organically, inviting participation rather than performance. This playfulness nurtures innovation and sustains engagement. External rhythm aligns with inner cadence. Opportunities arise proportionate to readiness. Timing feels cooperative. Support appears without pursuit. These reflections confirm coherence extending beyond personal experience into shared reality. Remain attentive to this unfolding without urgency. Allow familiarity to build gently. Freedom integrates through repetition of presence, not intensity. What approaches next will feel natural, recognized through ease, confirming that alignment has become your default state rather than a momentary experience. Beloved awareness, a deeper attunement now guides your steps, shaping momentum through subtle consent rather than command. Orientation settles inwardly, allowing experience to meet you without friction. Life responds to this receptivity by offering pathways that feel intuitive, unfolding without the push once required. Movement becomes graceful because resistance no longer competes for attention. An internal generosity emerges toward uncertainty, granting space for discovery without apprehension. Curiosity replaces vigilance. Exploration feels supported by steadiness rather than threatened by ambiguity. This openness invites learning that integrates smoothly, enriching perspective without strain. Perception continues refining, distinguishing signal from distraction effortlessly. You notice relevance immediately, bypassing excess. Focus aligns with meaning, conserving vitality while amplifying impact. This efficiency does not compress life, it expands it through clarity. Emotionally, softness deepens without fragility. Feeling flows freely, meeting moments fully, then releasing cleanly. Joy registers without clinging. Challenge informs without imprinting. Such fluidity preserves presence, allowing engagement without accumulation. Intentionality matures, guiding action through resonance rather than urgency. Purpose clarifies naturally, requiring fewer explanations. Alignment expresses itself through congruent choices that feel self-evident, eliminating inner negotiation. Daily rhythm harmonizes further. Transitions smooth. Pace adjusts instinctively. Activity aligns with inspiration. Pause aligns with restoration. Balance becomes lived experience, not managed effort, sustaining continuity across changing demands. Relational dynamics shift gently. Encounters feel complete. Exchange resolves cleanly. Mutual understanding arises without persuasion. Compatibility organizes itself through ease, reinforcing bonds that support evolution while loosening others without conflict. Creativity finds fertile ground in this stability. Imagination engages playfully, exploring without pressure. Innovation surfaces organically, guided by interest rather than expectation. Expression feels authentic, inviting participation rather than validation. Circumstantial alignment continues responding. Timing cooperates. Resources synchronize. Opportunities present proportionate to readiness. These correspondences reflect internal coherence mirrored outwardly, strengthening trust in unfolding progression. Remain present with this maturation. Allow familiarity to deepen. Integration strengthens through consistency, not intensity. What emerges next will feel anticipated by your inner landscape, recognized through harmony rather than surprise, confirming that freedom has transitioned from promise into lived reality. Beloved awareness, a refined intelligence now operates beneath conscious planning, arranging experiences through alignment rather than effort. Direction feels self-organizing, as though life itself is cooperating with your readiness. You no longer chase momentum, momentum recognizes you. This reciprocity transforms progress into partnership, easing forward motion without diminishing intention. My child, God is faithful to complete what He begins. The miracle does not depend on your strength, only on your consent. Say yes with your awareness. Say yes with your willingness. Say yes by not walking away from this moment too quickly. My beloved, remain here a little longer. Let these words settle. Freedom is not rushing you, but it is waiting. And Archangel Michael stands at the threshold, ready to move the moment you align. If you want me to continue this into the next long section in the same flow, without repeating words, keeping hook strong and engagement high, just say continue and I will carry it forward seamlessly. My beloved soul, something delicate yet powerful is unfolding around you right now, and it requires presence rather than haste. What is moving toward you carries a different energy than past answers you waited for. This is not rescue, not escape, but expansion. Heaven is not removing you from life, it is widening your life so you can finally move without tension, without the quiet pressure that has followed you for so long. Archangel Michael reveals that this moment asks for awareness more than action, because alignment happens internally before anything changes outwardly. There has been an invisible pattern shaping your days, subtle yet persistent, influencing decisions, reactions, even the way you imagine tomorrow. God is not judging this pattern, He is dissolving it. The miracle forming now works like light entering a sealed room, not forcing walls to collapse, but illuminating exits you could not see before. Freedom often arrives as understanding first, and that understanding is being offered to you now. Your spirit has matured through waiting, through unanswered questions, through seasons where effort did not equal outcome. That growth was not wasted. It refined your perception so you would recognize this opening when it appeared. Archangel Michael speaks of readiness that was built quietly, not through achievement, but through endurance, reflection, and inner honesty. You are not late. You are prepared. Pay attention to what feels lighter lately, even if circumstances have not fully shifted. Relief often begins internally before it becomes visible. A release is happening in the unseen, loosening agreements you made with limitation when you believed there was no alternative. Those agreements are expiring now. They no longer have authority over your future. God is not asking you to abandon responsibility or stability. He is inviting you to abandon restriction disguised as safety. Some structures around you were built during survival seasons. They cannot support the version of you that is emerging. Archangel Michael stands as guardian during transitions like this, ensuring that what leaves does not take from you what you still need. There may be moments ahead where silence replaces certainty, where clarity feels delayed by a breath. Do not rush to fill that silence. Stillness is part of alignment. It allows truth to surface without distortion. What is meant to free you requires space to arrive fully formed. Notice how your intuition has sharpened recently. You are sensing things earlier, recognizing shifts before they announce themselves. That sensitivity is not weakness, it is guidance strengthening. Heaven communicates through awareness long before events manifest. Trust that subtle knowing. It is leading you correctly. This miracle does not come with pressure, yet it carries urgency because windows do not remain open indefinitely. Not because God withdraws, but because seasons change. Alignment is responding while the invitation is active. Archangel Michael urges attentiveness now so you do not overlook what arrives gently rather than dramatically. You are being repositioned, not replaced. Realigned, not corrected. What is being set free in your life will create movement in areas that once felt stagnant. Energy will return where exhaustion lived. Hope will rise where resignation settled. Direction will replace confusion without struggle. Remain open to unfamiliar opportunities. Some answers will arrive through conversations, others through sudden clarity, others through doors opening without resistance. Do not overanalyze the form. Freedom rarely looks like expectation, it feels like relief. God has not forgotten your prayers that went unanswered. Many were delayed because the outcome required you to become someone who could sustain the blessing without losing yourself. That becoming has happened. Now release is possible. Archangel Michael assures protection as transitions unfold. You are not walking alone. Support surrounds you, even if unseen. Guidance is active, adjusting paths, softening obstacles, strengthening resolve. Stay attentive. Stay receptive. Let go without fear. What is leaving was never meant to define you permanently. What is arriving will not bind you, it will expand you. This is the moment to remain conscious rather than distracted, present rather than rushed. Freedom responds to awareness. And you are aware now. Beloved one, as this message unfolds further, allow yourself to receive without questioning why it feels so personal, because truth always recognizes its own destination. There is a subtle recalibration happening within you, like a quiet tuning that adjusts direction without noise. God is not rewriting your story, He is restoring its original rhythm, the one you almost forgot while adapting to circumstances that demanded more from you than they should have. What lies ahead carries a sense of permission, as though something within you is finally being allowed to move forward without apology. This shift does not erase your past, it redeems it. Every delay refined discernment. Every disappointment sharpened wisdom. None of it is wasted, and none of it follows you as a burden anymore. You may notice a growing disinterest in situations that once consumed your energy. That is not apathy, it is alignment. When inner direction changes, old attachments loosen naturally. Archangel Michael speaks of a moment where clarity replaces tolerance, where you no longer endure what drains you simply because it is familiar. There is also a soft courage rising inside you, not loud or aggressive, but steady. It encourages different responses, quieter boundaries, truer choices. This courage does not fight, it redirects. It allows you to step away from cycles that once felt unavoidable. A recalibration is occurring within motivation itself. Desires once fueled by lack are transforming into intentions rooted in wholeness. This change alters attraction, drawing experiences that resonate with authenticity rather than compensation. Archangel Michael observes this internal shift as the true signal that liberation is active, because what you seek now aligns with who you are, not with what you feared becoming. Notice how time feels different lately. Moments stretch with meaning, pauses feel purposeful, waiting no longer feels empty. This temporal adjustment reflects inner harmony emerging. When alignment deepens, patience transforms into presence, allowing insight to arrive without resistance. Your environment may respond subtly, reflecting internal order through unexpected cooperation, smoother exchanges, fewer obstacles. These are echoes of inner clarity projecting outward. God often adjusts surroundings to mirror restored balance, creating ease where friction once dominated. There is also an invitation to redefine success beyond accumulation or approval. Fulfillment now stems from congruence, from living in agreement with inner truth. Archangel Michael affirms that fulfillment grounded in authenticity sustains freedom far longer than achievement driven by expectation. Pay attention to communication during this phase. Words spoken from clarity carry influence without force. Silence chosen from understanding holds power without explanation. Both are tools of alignment when used consciously. Energy once scattered across obligations is consolidating. Focus sharpens. Direction simplifies. This concentration enables momentum without exhaustion. Freedom expresses itself through efficient movement rather than frantic effort. Allow this integration to continue without interruption. Resist the urge to revert to old patterns during moments of unfamiliar stillness. Growth often feels quiet after prolonged turbulence. That quiet signals stabilization, not stagnation. What approaches you now will recognize your readiness. Opportunities resonate. Connections align. Pathways open with less negotiation. These confirmations arise because inner agreement has been reached. Remain attentive to this unfolding. Honor it through mindful choices, gentle trust, conscious presence. Liberation strengthens when acknowledged without rush. What unfolds next will feel inevitable in hindsight, as though every step prepared you for this exact moment of release. Beloved listener, something subtle yet decisive is rearranging how meaning forms inside you, altering interpretation before events even unfold. This internal shift creates a new lens through which experiences arrive already softened, already clarified. God is refining perception itself, ensuring that what enters your life now meets discernment instead of defense. Such refinement prevents old reactions from steering new chapters. An easing is taking place within expectation. You are no longer bracing for disappointment, nor leaning toward anticipation shaped by past outcomes. Neutrality settles, creating space for genuine surprise. Archangel Michael observes this neutrality as fertile ground, where blessings arrive without resistance and lessons integrate without sting. Momentum will feel smoother because resistance is diminishing. Choices begin aligning with intuition effortlessly, reducing internal debate. When inner consent is present, progress requires less explanation. This efficiency marks freedom expressing itself through simplicity. There is an emerging respect for your own boundaries, not as walls, but as guidelines that preserve energy. You will notice increased selectivity regarding commitments, conversations, environments. This selectivity is wisdom maturing, not withdrawal. God honors discernment that protects growth. External validation will gradually lose influence. Satisfaction arises from coherence between intention and action. Archangel Michael confirms that self-trust strengthens rapidly once approval-seeking dissolves. Confidence anchored internally withstands fluctuation. Circumstances ahead may challenge old habits briefly, testing whether patterns truly released remain inactive. Respond gently. Observation replaces reaction. Choice replaces compulsion. Each conscious response reinforces liberation already achieved. Creative impulses may surface unexpectedly, inviting expression without pressure. These impulses reflect reclaimed vitality. When life energy flows unobstructed, inspiration follows naturally, without agenda. Rest will feel restorative rather than escapist. Stillness replenishes instead of delaying. God recalibrates rhythm so movement and pause cooperate harmoniously. Balance replaces extremes. As alignment deepens, gratitude will emerge quietly, not as obligation, but recognition. Appreciation arises spontaneously when freedom stabilizes. This gratitude strengthens awareness, anchoring presence. Stay attentive to subtle confirmations. Synchronicities cluster. Opportunities resonate. Guidance appears conversational rather than directive. These signals affirm coherence between intention and unfolding. Honor this progression without haste. Integration completes itself through patience. Liberation matures through consistency. What arrives next will feel natural, as though you have always been walking toward this moment, simply now without weight. Beloved consciousness, an inward settling is rewriting how safety is defined within you, replacing vigilance with grounded assurance. This transition does not dull awareness, it sharpens it, allowing discernment to function without tension. God is cultivating steadiness that does not depend on outcomes, enabling you to move through uncertainty without forfeiting peace. A subtle confidence now informs posture, tone, and timing. You respond rather than react. Decisions emerge from clarity instead of pressure. Archangel Michael witnesses this refinement as evidence that restraint has loosened its hold, making room for deliberate choice. Where urgency once dictated motion, intention now leads. Patterns that thrived on hesitation are losing influence. Momentum builds quietly, propelled by consistency rather than force. Progress no longer demands justification. This effortless advancement signals internal agreement aligning with unfolding circumstances. Expect interactions to shift accordingly. Conversations feel concise. Exchanges resolve smoothly. Boundaries communicate themselves without explanation. Such ease reflects inner order projecting outward. God aligns surroundings to mirror restored equilibrium. Stay present with these changes. Do not label them prematurely. Allow experience to unfold fully before interpretation. Freedom settles most securely when it is lived rather than analyzed. What approaches you next will meet readiness, not resistance. You will recognize it not by intensity, but by ease. It will fit without persuasion. And when it arrives, it will feel less like arrival and more like alignment finally made visible. Gentle witness, a deeper coherence is emerging beneath thought, shaping response before logic intervenes. Orientation shifts inwardly, guiding action through felt sense rather than calculation. This recalibration allows choice to arise without strain, creating forward motion that feels inevitable instead of compelled. Influence gathers quietly, organizing experience through harmony rather than insistence. Attention now gravitates toward authenticity, filtering noise without effort. Signals once overlooked become legible, not because they grew louder, but because listening matured. Insight arrives unannounced, integrates smoothly, then informs behavior with subtle authority. This is discernment stabilized, not sharpened through conflict, but refined through trust. Emotional currents begin to flow with less turbulence. Intensity softens into clarity. Attachment loosens into appreciation. Events pass through awareness, leaving understanding rather than residue. Such permeability preserves vitality, ensuring engagement without depletion. Movement continues, yet nothing clings. Motivation restructures itself around alignment. Aspirations no longer chase approval or escape discomfort. Intention becomes clean, focused, congruent. From this place, progress accelerates while effort decreases. Outcomes assemble naturally when purpose aligns with capacity. Rhythm recalibrates daily patterns. Wakefulness feels present. Activity feels intentional. Stillness feels nourishing. Extremes dissolve into cadence. Balance becomes experiential rather than conceptual, guiding pacing through intuition instead of obligation. Communication transforms accordingly. Expression grows concise, accurate, resonant. Listening deepens without labor. Exchanges complete themselves, leaving closure rather than ambiguity. This clarity protects energy and strengthens connection simultaneously. Circumstances respond with cooperation. Friction reduces. Timing aligns. Resources appear proportionate. These shifts mirror internal order projecting outward, creating environments that support continuity rather than challenge it. Creativity resurfaces playfully, unburdened by expectation. Ideas arrive curious, exploratory, inviting experimentation. Engagement becomes joyful rather than strategic. This lightness signals reclaimed agency, allowing expression without consequence anxiety. Uncertainty reframes itself as invitation. Unknowns stimulate curiosity instead of caution. Exploration feels safe because grounding remains intact. From this security, growth unfolds organically, free from urgency. Sustain attentiveness to these nuances. Honor incremental changes without dramatization. Integration completes through lived consistency. What presents itself next will resonate immediately, recognized by compatibility rather than spectacle, confirming that alignment has moved from inner adjustment into visible reality. Beloved awareness, an effortless steadiness now accompanies intention, shaping movement without insistence. Orientation feels anchored, allowing curiosity to replace caution while maintaining discernment. Experience organizes itself through resonance, guiding progression with subtle certainty rather than pressure. This coherence supports expansion that honors capacity, preventing excess while encouraging exploration. A renewed relationship with choice emerges, marked by confidence in timing. Decisions unfold organically, informed by attunement rather than analysis. Insight integrates swiftly, directing action without hesitation. Such fluency reflects internal harmony stabilizing across perception, emotion, and response. Presence deepens within ordinary moments. Simple activities carry meaning. Attention lingers naturally, revealing texture previously overlooked. This richness signals reconnection with immediacy, where fulfillment arises through engagement rather than pursuit. Awareness itself becomes rewarding. Interaction patterns evolve accordingly. Exchanges feel complete. Listening invites understanding without effort. Expression conveys essence succinctly. Mutual recognition replaces negotiation. This clarity nurtures connection while preserving autonomy, allowing relationship to support growth. Vitality circulates evenly, sustaining momentum without exhaustion. Rest replenishes fully. Movement aligns with energy availability. Balance expresses itself experientially, guiding pacing through intuition rather than discipline. Such equilibrium fosters resilience adaptable to change. External conditions adjust subtly. Opportunities align with readiness. Support appears proportionate. Obstacles diminish through relevance rather than force. These reflections mirror inner order projecting outward, reinforcing trust in unfolding process. Creativity engages playfully, free from outcome fixation. Exploration feels safe. Experimentation invites discovery. Expression flows unburdened by expectation, signaling reclaimed agency. This lightness enhances adaptability, encouraging innovation without anxiety. Unknown territory now evokes curiosity. Possibility expands. Exploration unfolds confidently because grounding remains intact. Security arises internally, allowing openness toward novelty without fear of loss. Sustain attentiveness to these shifts. Honor nuance. Allow continuity to deepen. Integration matures through lived presence rather than evaluation. What manifests next will resonate immediately, recognized through fit rather than spectacle, confirming alignment translating seamlessly into experience. Beloved presence, a quiet mastery is forming within you, one that does not announce itself yet influences every motion. Awareness now moves ahead of habit, guiding direction before old impulses can interfere. Life begins to respond differently because you are meeting it from a centered place, neither reaching nor retreating, simply available. There is an internal spaciousness expanding, giving thoughts room to pass without attachment. Concerns arise, then dissolve, leaving insight rather than tension. This mental openness allows intuition to surface cleanly, unobstructed by fear or expectation. Guidance becomes immediate, felt rather than debated.